Kneel before the Empire.
I would rather die standing than live on my knees.
What if everything you know about power is wrong? Right now, governments around the world pretend to run things. But what if they don't? What if someone else has been pulling the strings the whole time? And what if that someone isn't even human? Today, we're uncovering a story that will change how you see reality forever. A human cadet discovers a secret so dangerous that entire civilizations are forced to choose between freedom and survival. Page 11 contains the truth. The aliens don't want you to know it, but we're telling you anyway. In the next few minutes, you'll learn 3 things that will shock you completely. First, how a hidden empire has controlled Earth longer than recorded history. Second, why humanity has been kept in the dark about our true position in the universe. And third, what one young soldier discovered that could change everything. This isn't just a story. This is the truth they've been hiding. Let me show you exactly how this happened. The Academy Training Center stood silent in the cold morning light. Cadet Marcus Chen walked through the endless halls, his white uniform crisp and clean. He was one of the best soldiers Earth had ever trained. But he had no idea that today would be the day everything changed forever. Marcus had spent 5 years at the military academy. He learned to fight. He learned to lead. He learned to follow orders without question. That was the most important lesson. Always follow orders. Never ask why. Just do what you're told. But Marcus was different. He asked questions. Today, Commander Foster called him into the main office. The room was cold and gray. On the desk sat a single folder. Commander Foster looked at Marcus with tired eyes. Eyes that had seen too much. Eyes that knew secrets. Cadet Chen, the commander said slowly, I'm assigning you to the archive department. You'll be cataloging old records. Marcus felt confused. Archive work was boring. It was punishment for asking too many questions. He had questioned the training methods. He had questioned why they trained so hard for an enemy they never saw. He had questioned everything. But he didn't argue. He just nodded and left. The archive was located deep underground. Stone walls surrounded rows and rows of old files and boxes. A single light bulb hung from the ceiling, casting long shadows everywhere. Marcus was alone down there. Completely alone. For 3 days, Marcus organized documents. Most were boring. Training records, supply lists, personnel files. Nothing interesting. Nothing secret. Just dust and old paper. On the 4th day, Marcus found something different. It was a metal box, hidden behind a loose brick in the wall. His hands shook as he pulled it out. Inside was a single document. The paper was old and yellow. The words were faded but still readable. The header read, Classified Level 9. For command eyes only. Marcus knew he shouldn't read it. He knew the punishment for accessing classified documents was death. But something pulled him forward. Something told him this was important. Something told him the world needed to know. He opened the document and started reading. His face went pale. His hands started to shake. His heart pounded in his chest, so hard he thought it would break through his ribs. The words on the page told a story that seemed impossible. But as he read more, the pieces started to fit together. Suddenly, every strange thing he had ever wondered about made sense. The document was titled, The Real History of Earth. It explained that humans were not the rulers of this planet. Humans never had been. For over 50,000 years, an alien species had lived among us. They looked almost human. They could pass for human, but they were not human. According to the document, these aliens came from a distant star system. They arrived on Earth long before humans built cities or created writing. They watched us. They guided us, they controlled us, and we never even knew they existed. The aliens had established a hierarchy. At the very top were the purebloods, the original aliens. They never showed themselves to regular humans. They ruled from the shadows. Below them were the half-breeds, aliens with human DNA mixed inches. These ones walked among us. They held positions of power in governments, companies, and military branches. Below the half-breeds were the humans, billions of them, completely unaware that they were living under alien rule. The document explained the secret protocol. Every human government was required to follow alien law. Every decision made by world leaders was approved by the Alien Council. Humans thought they had free will, but they didn't. Every major event in human history had been orchestrated by the aliens. Wars, peace treaties, scientific discoveries, economic crashes, all of it was controlled. And then Marcus read the most shocking part, the section labeled page 11, the final directive. Page 11 contained the original contract between the first human kings and the alien rulers. It was written in an ancient language that scholars claimed no one could translate anymore. But apparently, someone had. The contract said that humanity had two choices: either kneel and accept alien rule forever, or fight and face extinction. Those were the only options. Kneel or die. Marcus read those words over and over. Kneel or die. Kneel or die. His entire world had just crumbled. Marcus closed the document with shaking hands. He had to think. He had to understand what this meant. The archive suddenly felt like a prison. The stone walls seemed to close in on him. Every shadow looked dangerous. He carefully placed the metal box back where he found it. He couldn't let anyone know he had seen it. Not yet. He needed time to process. He needed to figure out what to do with this information. For 3 weeks, Marcus went back to his normal routine. He trained. He followed orders. He acted like nothing had changed. But everything had changed. The world looked different now. People looked different. He kept wondering if the people around him were human or alien. He kept wondering who was really in control. The worst part was knowing he couldn't tell anyone. If he told another soldier, they would report him. If he told a commander, he would be arrested. If he told civilians, they would think he was crazy. He was completely alone with this impossible knowledge. Then one night, everything changed again. An alarm sounded through the entire compound. Red lights flashed in every hallway. Soldiers ran everywhere, shouting orders. Marcus didn't know what was happening. He grabbed his weapon and ran with everyone else. Commander Foster appeared on the loudspeaker. His voice was urgent, panicked, different from his normal calm tone. All personnel report to the main assembly hall immediately. This is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill. Marcus joined hundreds of soldiers in the massive hall. The ceiling towered above them. The walls stretched into the distance. In the center of the room stood a circular platform. And on that platform stood something Marcus had never seen before. It was a creature. Tall, powerful, wearing armor that seemed to glow from inside. The armor was black and silver. It caught the light in impossible ways. The creature's face was covered by a helmet. No one could see its features, but everyone could feel its presence. The creature raised one hand. The entire hall went silent. Complete silence. Thousands of soldiers, and not a single sound. "I am Commander Vex of the Outer Council," the creature spoke. Its voice was deep and ancient. It seemed to echo from everywhere at once. "I bring news from the Interstellar Command." Marcus felt his blood turn to ice. This was real. Everything in that document was real. Earth has reached the point of decision, Vex continued. Your species has developed technology that makes you dangerous. You have weapons that could threaten the hierarchy. We have allowed this because we believed you would eventually accept your place in the universe. But we were wronged. The commander paused. The silence grew heavier. Therefore, the Council has made a final decision. Your planet has 72 hours to make a choice. Either humanity officially kneels and accepts alien rule as permanent law, or we will destroy your civilization entirely. This is not negotiable. This is not a discussion. Marcus heard people gasping around him. Some soldiers looked confused. Some looked terrified. Some looked like they already knew this was coming. Your world leaders will be presented with the original contract at noon tomorrow, Vex said. Page 11 contains the final terms. They will have 24 hours to decide. Kneel or die. Those are your only options. The creature raised its hand again. A beam of light shot down from the ceiling. When the light faded, the creature was gone. The hall erupted into chaos. Soldiers shouted. People cried. Some tried to run. Some fell to their knees. The world had just changed in 60 seconds. Marcus stood frozen. He understood now. The document he found wasn't ancient history. It was current events. The final deadline had arrived. Humanity was about to face its greatest test. The news spread across the planet in minutes. Every television showed the same announcement. Every phone received the same message. Every government received the same ultimatum. Kneel or die. Humanity had less than 3 days to decide the fate of their entire species. The reactions were chaos. In America, riots started in the streets. Millions of people demanded their leaders fight back. Millions of others demanded surrender. The military mobilized. The government declared martial law. But no one knew what to do against an enemy they couldn't fight. In Europe, scientists tried to understand the alien technology. They analyzed the signal. They studied the armor. They tried to find a weakness. But the aliens were thousands of years ahead. There was no weakness to find. In Asia, religious leaders prayed. Some said this was the end times. Others said this was a test of faith. Billions of people looked to the sky and wondered if their gods could save them. Marcus watched all of this from inside the military compound. He was assigned to work in the war room. He listened to generals argue about strategy. He heard them admit they had no strategy. No weapons could hurt the aliens. No defense could work against technology that advanced. But Marcus knew something the generals didn't know. He knew about page 11. He knew the original contract existed. He knew the aliens weren't just attacking randomly. This was part of a plan. This was the final step in a 50,000-year-old strategy. Late on the second day, Commander Foster found Marcus alone in a hallway. "Come with me," Foster said quietly. "There's something you need to see." Foster led Marcus to a secure room deep underground. Inside, the walls were covered with maps and documents. Photographs of alien beings covered one entire wall. Each photo showed a different face. Some looked almost completely human. Others looked more alien. Some looked like a strange mixture of both. "These are the hybrid council members," Foster explained. "They've been running our governments for centuries. We just figured it out. Our intelligence division finally broke the encryption codes. We can now see all the communications between our leaders and the alien hierarchy." Foster pointed at one photograph. "That's the Secretary of Defense. That's the President of China. That's the leader of the European Union. That's the Pope. All hybrids. All taking orders from above." Marcus felt sick. The people he trusted most. The people running the world. They weren't human. "There's more," Foster continued. He pulled out a stack of papers. We found the translation of page 11, the original contract between humanity and the aliens. We finally know what it says. Foster handed the papers to Marcus with a trembling hand. Marcus read the words carefully. The contract was written in an ancient alien language, but someone had translated it into modern English. The message was clear and simple. The aliens had given humanity choice 50,000 years ago. Develop in peace, or develop in conflict. They said humans could advance civilization, technology, and science. They said humans could create art and music and culture. They said humans could build great cities and explore their world. But they said humans could never challenge alien authority. Humans could never develop weapons that could threaten the hierarchy. Humans could never leave their solar system. Humans could never contact other alien species without permission. If humanity agreed to these terms, the aliens would protect them. They would keep Earth safe from other hostile species. They would ensure peace and stability forever. If humanity refused, they would be destroyed. Not conquered. Not enslaved. Destroyed. Completely wiped out. Humanity had agreed. For 50,000 years, humans lived in peace, never knowing they were living under alien rule. But now technology had advanced. Humans had learned too much. Humans had created weapons that could threaten the balance. The aliens decided it was time for the final test. Would humanity accept their place? Or would they fight for freedom knowing they would certainly lose? Foster looked at Marcus with desperate eyes. They want you to deliver the message to the world leaders. They want you to tell humanity the truth. They want you to read page 11 to everyone. They think if humans hear it from one of their own, they might accept it better than if the aliens tell them directly. Marcus understood. This was a test. This was the aliens' way of breaking humanity's spirit. They wanted a human to betray their own species. They wanted humanity to accept their slavery from a human voice. This was the moment everything would be decided. Marcus stood in the broadcast center at midnight on the third day. The entire world was watching. Every network, every platform, every screen. Billions of humans waiting to hear what he would say. Waiting to hear if their species would live or die. Commander Foster handed him a paper with the complete translation of page 11. Marcus looked at the words. He knew what was expected. He was supposed to read it and convince humanity to surrender. He was supposed to break humanity's will to resist. But as he looked at the camera, something changed in his heart. Marcus thought about every person he had ever known. He thought about his parents, his friends, his teachers, the soldiers who trained beside him, the civilians in the streets. All of them were about to hear that they had no choice. They had no freedom. They had no future except slavery. And he was supposed to make them accept it. Marcus looked at the camera. He looked directly at billions of people watching from across the planet. He set down the paper with page 11. Then he did something no one expected. He told the truth. "My name is Marcus Chen," he said calmly. "I'm a soldier. I've spent my entire life following orders. But today, I'm going to tell you something different. I'm going to tell you what I discovered. I'm going to tell you about the aliens. I'm going to tell you about page 11. Marcus held up the document. The aliens are giving us a choice. Kneel or die. That's what page 11 says. That's what their contract demands. For 50,000 years, we've lived under alien rule and never known it. Now they're forcing us to make a choice. Now they're forcing us to accept slavery openly." In the war room, generals started shouting. Soldiers moved toward the broadcast center. But Foster stopped them. Foster wanted to hear what Marcus would say next. "But I'm going to tell you something the aliens don't want you to know," Marcus continued. "Yes, they are more advanced than us. Yes, they have better technology. Yes, They can destroy us in a single day. But they haven't. Marcus leaned closer to the camera. They haven't destroyed us because they don't want to. They want us to choose slavery. They want us to surrender willingly. They want us to give up without fighting. Because if we do that, they can rule us forever without resistance. Marcus stood up straight. His voice grew stronger. But what if we don't? What if, right now, every human on this planet decided that freedom is worth dying for? What if we decided that slavery is worse than death? What if we fought back, knowing we would lose, but also knowing we would fight? The world was completely silent. Even the aliens were listening. "I'm not telling you to surrender," Marcus said. "I'm telling you to choose. Choose freedom or choose slavery. Choose to fight or choose to kneel. But make that choice knowing what it costs. Make that choice with your eyes open." Marcus held up page 11. "This document says we have to kneel or die. But I'm telling you there's a third option. We can fight. We can resist. We can die free instead of living as slaves. That's what I'm choosing. That's what I'm asking you to choose." For a moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, the entire world began to respond. In America, millions of people poured into the streets. In Europe, soldiers put down their weapons and walked toward the military bases where the aliens were stationed. In Asia, governments fell as people demanded resistance instead of surrender. In Africa, communities organized defenses. Humanity was choosing to fight. The aliens had miscalculated. They thought fear would force submission. They thought humans would accept slavery to survive. They were wrong. Marcus had done something impossible. He had united humanity not through hope, but through courage. He had shown them that some things were worth more than survival. Some things were worth dying for. And that changed everything. The first battle lasted only 17 minutes. Humanity's weapons were primitive compared to alien technology. Bullets couldn't penetrate their armor. Missiles couldn't reach their ships. Aircraft were shot down before they could get close. It was a massacre. 300,000 soldiers died. Cities burned. The sky turned black with smoke. But humanity kept fighting. And something unexpected happened. As humans fought and died, not running away, something shifted in the aliens' perspective. They had ruled through fear and intimidation for so long that they had forgotten what real courage looked like. They had forgotten what it meant to fight for something beyond survival. They had forgotten what sacrifice meant. The alien commander, Vex, stood on the observation platform and watched humans die rather than surrender. He watched them charge at impossible odds. He watched them sacrifice themselves to protect others. He watched them choose death with honor over life with chains. For the first time in 10,000 years, an alien commander felt something he had thought was gone forever. He felt respect. On the 7th day of fighting, Vex sent a message to Marcus. Not a threat. Not an order. A request for a meeting. They met in the ruins of what used to be a city. Vex stood alone in the center. Marcus approached slowly, knowing this could be a trap. But something told him Vex was being honest. "You have shown us something we forgot," Vex said. His voice was different now. Thoughtful, almost sad. "You have reminded us what it means to be more than just powerful. You have reminded us what it means to have purpose beyond control." Vex lowered his armor. His face was revealed. He looked ancient. He looked tired. He looked like someone who had carried a burden too long. "The Council has made a new decision," Vex continued. "We will leave Earth. We will take our colonies and our armies, and we will withdraw from this solar system. But not because you defeated us. You didn't. You never could have defeated us. We are leaving because you showed us that there is something greater than control. There is something greater than power. There is freedom. and we had forgotten what that was worth. Marcus couldn't believe what he was hearing. Why? Why would you give up your control? Because, Vex said slowly, my people conquered 1,000 worlds. We ruled 10,000 species. But we never once saw them choose death for freedom the way you chose it today. In every other civilization we conquered, they surrendered when they realized they couldn't winches. But humans didn't. You fought knowing you would lose. And that courage is something no amount of technology can purchase. Vex looked at the burning city around them. We are offering Earth one final choice. Not kneel or die. A real choice. You can continue resisting. We will protect you and guide you, but you will be free. Or you can join our federation as equals. Not as slaves. As partners. As a species that understands what courage really means. Marcus looked at his planet. Millions of humans had died. Cities were destroyed. But something had changed. Something fundamental. I think, Marcus said slowly, humanity would choose to be free. Vex nodded. Then be free. And when you are ready, come find us among the stars. Come join a civilization that has learned what true strength is. That night, Vex and his people left Earth. The ships rose into the sky. The aliens withdrew from all their positions. For the first time in 50,000 years, Earth belonged to humans alone. But the story didn't end there. Humanity spent the next 100 years rebuilding. We healed our wounds. We learned from our history. And we discovered something unexpected. The aliens didn't leave because they lost. They left because they chose to. They left because sometimes, the greatest victory is knowing when to give up control. And someday, when humanity was ready, we would meet the aliens again as equals. Not as rulers and slaves, but as two species that understood that freedom was more valuable than anything else in the universe. Here's what shocked us most. The aliens never wanted slavery. They wanted to see if humanity would accept it. They were testing us, testing whether we understood what freedom actually costs. And when we proved we did, they respected us. This story teaches us something powerful about our own world. Sometimes the greatest enemy isn't the one trying to control us. It's the one showing us we have a choice. Sometimes we need to be tested to understand what really matters. The biggest revelation. Page 11 didn't contain a threat. It contained an invitation to choose what we truly value. And humanity chose freedom. If you're watching this, remember Marcus. Remember that one person can change everything. One person willing to tell the truth. One person brave enough to offer humanity a real choice. Next video, we explore what happened when humanity finally met the alien federation as equals. You won't believe what they taught us about ourselves. Let's recap the 3 biggest takeaways from this story. First, power is only real if people accept it. The aliens controlled Earth for 50,000 years, but it wasn't true control until humans knew about it. Second, courage is more valuable than survival. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't weapons or technology. It was choosing freedom even when it meant death. Third, sometimes the greatest teacher is the one who challenges us most. The aliens became Earth's allies only after we proved we deserved their respect. This story changes how you should see your own life. You have more power than you think. Your choices matter. Your courage matters. And sometimes the right thing to do is fight for what's right, even when winning looks impossible. Here's what you should do now. First, hit that subscribe button. We upload Sci-Fi stories like this every week. Stories that make you think differently about the world. Second, comment below and tell us, would you have chosen the same way Marcus did? Would you fight or surrender? Third, join our exclusive community. Link in the description. We discuss these stories with thousands of people who care about truth and freedom. Finally, watch our next video where we explore what Earth learned from the Alien Federation. Click right now. This story will change how you see humanity forever. Thank you for watching. Stay curious. Stay brave.